Hey everybody, this is Dr. Jax with a quick walkthrough on how to use CK12 to assign chapters to your Google Classroom. So the first thing you're going to do when you get onto CK12.org is you're going to click on the top right where it says sign in, and you're going to want to sign in with your SI Tech HS email. Once you're signed in, you should be able to see your name in the upper right hand corner, which means that everything that you do after that will be able to get linked to your account. So what you're going to do is click on subjects at the top and then look through what's available. I've obviously been using physics for my class, but the rest of you, there are a number of different options, some of which are pretty accurate with what you'd be teaching. Some of it you might have to sort through a little bit with a little bit more detail to make sure it's what you really want. But when you want to explore, you click on the main subject, and it will basically take you to a textbook where you can pick parts of a chapter or the whole thing. For example, if I wanted to pick something in, let's say, light, which is something we just finished talking about, you click the little arrow, which gives you a drop down, and each one of these are a section that you could use for your class. So let's say I wanted to select the electromagnetic spectrum. You click on that, and what it'll do is take you to the chapter so you can see what the content's there. These are pretty good with what they give. Each of these blue links will take you to some extra information. On the upper right, kids can annotate and highlight parts of what's available. There are some interactive parts, like this one will take you to a video at YouTube. Some of them have simulations and other things that you can look at. All right, and you can see that they're pretty short, but get to the point. And then once you're done, the kids are going to have on the right side the opportunity to do some practice problems. If you want to look at what those problems are, you can hit view practice and hit preview, and you can do the questions yourself. Most of them are multiple choice and fill in the blanks. All right. So after that, if you decide that you want to use this, at the top, you'll also notice that there's a button that says assign. So if you click that assign button, it'll ask you where you want to put it. If you have your Google Classroom already set up, you click that, it'll ask you to connect. You just have to sign back in unless you already are. And then it'll bring up your classes that are available in Classroom. Once you do that, just pick the class that you want. You have the option of whether or not you want to show students the answers when they get them right or wrong. And then you have to set a start and end date. If you don't do the end date, it won't let you assign it. So we're just going to pick tomorrow, and then the assign option pops up. If you want to add any instructions up here, you can, and then that's what will go into the classroom assignment. So as soon as you hit assign, that's pretty much it. And then what you'll do is go back to your classroom, and you'll see it posted over here where it says Jared Jax posted a new assignment via CK12 electromagnetic spectrum. And that's how to create an assignment in CK12.
For part two of using CK12, we're going to go over how in your classroom you can see student progress and grade their work. So the first thing that you're going to do is when you go into Classroom, you're going to look for the assignment under classwork. And when you click on that assignment, it'll take you to something that looks like this. This is what the students will see. And if you notice that I had put instructions up here, and the kids will get to see that as what you inputted in CK12. So now what you're going to do is at the top of Classroom, if you click on the part that says student work, you will see how many kids submitted it. And for some of the options, you'll be able to check their progress. For a little bit of troubleshooting, if you see this student right here, it says turned in, but you don't see the same image as some of these other ones. As well as this one down here, you see it says graded, and it has their own screenshot. So this is an error on the student part of submission, which I'll go over in a separate video that you can share with your kids so that they don't make the same mistakes. If the kid does successfully submit their assignment, what you'll see is the icon that looks like this. And if you click on it, it will take you to a separate tab that will show you their progress as well as everybody else in the class who's completed it. So the first thing to notice is on the left, it'll give you greens and reds. The greens mean they completed it, and you'll notice that it says 100% completion. That doesn't mean that they got 100% on their questions. It just means that they got the minimum number that they needed to finish it. So each section has a minimum number of questions they have to get right before they can complete it. In the one that you're looking at here, the minimum was 10. So they had to get 10 correct in order to proceed. Now, if I click on this student in particular, Lisa, what you'll see is on the right side, it gives me how many they got right overall, which was 10 out of 11. And it shows you that she got one of the harder questions wrong, as well as their individual answers. If you scroll down, you can see their answers as well as the questions that they got wrong and what they put as the response. For everything else that was correct, it comes up as a correct response and it just goes on to the next question. Not all of your students will have to complete the same amount of questions, because if they're better at it and they get them right quicker, it'll read 10 out of 11 instead of 10 out of 15 or 20. But they only get 100 for once they reach the mark. Okay? Now, some of the errors that we saw before is if it shows that they had turned in the assignment. So these are all the kids that had turned it in. Some of them have the option of submitting the assignment in Google Classroom as their own submission. So this student in particular, Sheila, she submitted a Google Doc showing that she answered some of the questions. Now, for those of you who want to keep this uniform, I would suggest that you have the kids follow the same steps so that you can see the same results for each kid and in the other screen that I just showed you. In this case, what you'll see is how she wrote out each question individually. You can see how she did this here. Now, if you go back to the other screen, some other errors that we found were this particular student, Kaylee, it says turned in, but no attachments. That doesn't mean that she didn't do the assignment. It just means that she didn't submit the assignments through CK12. All right. Another option that you might have if you're having trouble is you might just have the kids show you a screenshot of their completed screen. So in this case, this particular student wanted to show me that she completed it, but again, didn't submit it correctly. And you can see that this was just their completed screen showing that they had done the 10. If you choose to use that option, that's up to you, but I would just push your kids to try and use the submission through CK12 as best you can. All right. And then you see over here that these were listed as missing and had never completed it. And you could also get to that through here, the Assign tab. So that's how to check your student work. I think it gives a nice little detail of what they did and how many questions they got wrong. And that's where you can kind of spend your time the next session when you meet with them.